right, so time for some Ponzu Sushi Part 2. So these are going to be for the panels. I already sent you the blade signs a couple days ago. So now we're ready to get rid of the stout is out, Ponzu's in. So this is going to be for these guys here. So I kind of did a zoom up. So you got the short side here. I'm calling it the short. And you got the long boy here. So that's kind of how it's going to go. We're going to be ripping all the wood out. And by we, I mean install. Poor you guys. And getting rid of all this and then replacing it with these panels. So got a little bit of fab and a little bit of install. So I decided, show you some stuff. Not too much going on. Just want to make sure everything gets done right. Some stuff to look out for. So with that, let's get after it. So for fab, got the lay of the land. So I'm breaking it up into the long side. So that'll be the 3 panels with all the parts. And then the short side is 2 panels with all the parts. And then for both sides, thankfully, it's all the same. So we've got just 2 sets of Bitros. So you got the 063 whites. And then you got your Bitros. Got your little babies here and some bigger sets there. So, all right. So for fab, again, short, long, it's going to be the same thing. What we're going to do is stabilize the ends. So let's start with short. But what I'm saying is you're going to stabilize the ends with this piece. And then you're going to stabilize the end on this piece. But for both long and shorts, all of these pieces are typical. So because they're the same size, obviously. So the end pieces in orange will bend and lords up to stabilize this corner and this end. And it's the same pieces there. So you can essentially get them all washed up and you don't have to sweat it too much. And then the same thing for the green braces here. All of those braces are typical and they are symmetrical as well. So there's no top and bottom just to save route time. So get them all bent up. So I think in total you end up with like 19 of them. But I think 14 of them go here and like 5 of them or 9 of them go here or something. Something like that. I don't know, whatever the number was. But anyway, so that's that for these guys here. And then so it's one big Lord's party. The one thing you do got to watch out for is top and bottom. And I have them labeled so the panels are long 1 and like long 2 and long 3. And so they just look for long 1 T and long 1 bottom. Really the only difference is that all the mounting holes are justified to the very edge. So they're justified to the very edge of the top and they're justified to the very edge of the bottom. So that's really all you got to worry about. The other thing is when you go to lords these up, we're looking for some strength along the tops and bottoms because you can see where they're going to shoot the install screw. We want to have good support because we know how heavy, Bitro can be. So with Ponzu and a panel, it's going to be kind of have some weight. So I wanted to make sure that when they shot these screws in, we're going to have like a double buttress here. So we're going to have, so about 3/16 top and bottom, which is good to give it some strength. So when you go to lords, so you're going to bend up. These panels are going to have a flange, top and bottom, and nothing on the sides. And then when you go to lords on these boys, make sure you put some good lords up against this flange here to trap it in there. I gave it a good 0.03 to get some lords in there. So that way that gets nice and strong. And that way, like I say, we'll have a nice top and bottom, nice and strong. So when they go to shoot those in, they'll be essentially tightening up against 3/16. And so that's it. And then for the ends on all the panels, for the end panels anyway, you got the corner and then you've got the end. The middle panel here, this seam is stabilized by just the what do you call it? Just the ribs or whatever. So you don't have to worry about that. I do have everything ending a 16th in, so don't think that's a mistake. That way, when they come together, there's nothing that's actually bumping except just the seam. So that way, hopefully, these seams will be nice and clean when they go together, so you don't have to worry about it too much. Corner is corner. That's going to be this corner right here where they meet. And then end is the end that doesn't meet. It's over here. Now, on both of those, make sure you lords that piece in properly. What I want is the flange to the back. So the down flange here is to the back here. And then the idea is that we have raw aluminum sticking out that possibly could allow for install to have to edit a little bit. So especially like this end here, essentially this piece is back on purpose. So that way, if they have to, they can actually take like a about an 1/8 inch off. Or if they have to, they can keep grinding a little more into this piece, but I don't want the flange in the way. And so that goes for the same for the corner side, and then it goes for the same for the shorty. So, but then also what this will do though, when you lords it, is it makes sure that stays stiff. So there's no bowing or anything, especially at this corner. So again, as far as how it assembles, it's pretty straightforward. You know, lords these guys on really good. Make sure you got some good goop, and then go ahead and get your in-betweeners there for strength, and then make sure that these are just lords on the right way with the flange to the back. So that way we have sort of raw flange just kind of sticking out. So that way we can edit it if we have to. So that's pretty much it there for Ponzu. You know, you guys do these guys. The only difference is these guys are so small. I mean, they're not tiny, but this is only 4 inches tall, and it's less than 1 inch wide. So you will have to get your jeweler loop out again. So you got 632 for these guys, 632 hardware. And then we're going to go 1024 for the bigger stuff just to give it a little bit of strength. So, and you have your kind of assembly there. We are looking at tracer because you're going to have to go around this. So I don't know, Benelux is not really going to work in there. So we want to make sure we bring in some tracer. And also you'll have to check your color temperature. Not sure if they want to use the super bright. Kind of hope they do because it makes it pop. But so you're going to do tracer there. And then I kind of laid it out where I think we're going to want to do at least a double of tracer on the bigger ones. You can see there. But this is just a serving suggestion. You guys can do what you want. Maybe do some testers. I'm not sure if you need to try to run a third and snake around. I'm not sure. Also on this guy, obviously at least a double to maybe on this. But you might also need to patch in a piece in the middle. I don't know, do a tester to see what you get for the swipe, whatever that is, whatever you want to call it. So that's it for that. Make sure that's all good. Now, when you go to wire it, I have it here. Let's wire up with page blue because the issue is we only have 3/4 of an inch to deal with between here and here. Problem is when you add all this stuff, we're actually less than 3/4 of an inch. We're closer to 5/8. So everything needs to stuff around inside here and stay within this tiny little strip. So keep everything skinny, keep everything flat, and keep everything tucked in. Now, that also brings up what you're definitely going to do. I gave you guys slots, number one, for that. So each of these greenies braces have slots that you can thread the wire through to create leashes. The whole idea is to get everything nailed down and only have the leashes out that you need. And then install is going to have to figure out how to get those leashes through the existing, through all this existing here and get it through the wall to the existing stuff. So get all these leashed up. But what I'm saying is keep everything skinny. So I know we use those little plastic zip tie stickies. Do the math on that and make sure it fits inside here. If you have to, I was thinking that an old trick is to take like some thin 040, some kind of scrap back there by the shear, stomp some little 1/2 inch strips, and then you can double stick tape one side. And if you have to, you can make a little hook thing. You stick it on there, put the wire through it, and just bend it on itself, smash it back. Then that makes for a nice little holder. And then maybe just silicone that like you do LEDs to make sure it doesn't fall off. Make sure you silicone it real good. If the zip tie thingies pads are too tall, make sure that you keep it all down. The other thing that came to me is what you can do is like, if you've got your wire running across here and you have like wire nuts or something, what you could do is go into vinyl and grab some high performance good stuff, just some scraps laying around, and you could create rectangles and then use that to just sort of sticky down everything, just smash everything down really good and get a big piece with lots of surface area. Then you can kind of smash everything down and make sure that you sort of plaster stick, Band-Aid kind of stick everything down real good. And then maybe also put in some silicone and stuff. Just saying that everything needs to fit within this space here, because when install goes to smush this panel up against the existing stuff, we don't want nuggets and chunks sticking out. So also, speaking of nuggets and chunks, make sure when you lords this on there that you're wiping everything down. We don't want any lords boogers and anything keeping everything from sitting flush, when you put some lords in there. So again, we're just keeping everything on a diet. Don't try it. Nice and skinny. Everything's good. So I think that's it for you cats though. Get everything wired up. get everything lords up really well, keep it clean. And then when you go to put everything together, and then like I say, cut your hardware too. You're going to want to chop your hardware flush and keep it within that little bit we have to work. We don't want anything poking out too long. So, but these are I'm bringing everything in. You'll have aluminum studs so you can trim them flush, and you can see how we're going to do it there. Excuse me. So you have the 063, and then you're just going to double nut that down, make sure it's good, and then go ahead and put another assembly and squish it all home when it's time to, like we do. So those are your Bitros. So I think you guys are good for fab. I think you guys got it pretty straightforward there. And then this all goes out to get the faux finish. So for install, I think you get the idea, what I just said. To clarify, this is the butt corner right here. So obviously that's wood and it all goes away. That's great. Problem is now we have this. So the idea is we are getting rid of the wood and replacing it with the 3/4. So again, that wood is 3/4. Once you get rid of that wood, then you'll be putting this back on there. As far as getting rid of the wood, good luck. I know that these are brass stud mount, so I don't know if you might be able to just pop these off, get in there and just get violent with them. Maybe they'll rip out, or maybe Sawzall, a long Sawzall can get in there and you can cut studs. So you're just gonna have to take those out. I know for a fact that these are screwed from the backside. I do not remember if we used adhesive for each of these, but I don't know if you can get it started and then pry bar and these will break. I know it's all dry now and brittle, so hopefully that works. Otherwise, maybe bring a skill saw blades that are kind of demo proof with some screws, they can hit screws, and maybe just set your depth and you can kind of compromise the wood with a skill saw set to depth and just sort of cross cut it. But you just got to rip all this wood out. Good luck. Don't know, what's best for you. And then behind this wood, you'll have the panel, the 09. You're going to need to cut where the leashes are. You're going to have to cut some holes in that and work your way to a leash to the inside. Also, that brings up fab. These are all going to be obviously tracers. And so depending, you're going to have to figure out how many leashes. So it's all going to be double banger, single banger, France packs. So we're just going to get crazy with the France packs. So with that install, you're going to have to make sure you can get those France packs back there, get the leashes through the wall. And then once you get up there, you can frap the panels. Now, in order to hit those targets, this is how I have it laid out. So when you remove the wood is theoretically a 1/16 away from the 1/8 inch surround. So when you pull out the wood, you have the 1/8 inch surround there, all the way here, 1/8 inch and 1/8 inch. So this is how I have it laid out for you cats. So if you take the wood out, then you'll have a 1/16 from the end, and then you will have a 1/16 from the top. So you can see here, this is the gray, that's the 1/16. But I have zero clearance at the bottom. So what you can do is take the panel and stick it up there and then lay it on the bottom and let it rest along the bottom. That's okay. And then try to tuck up against about a 1/16 from the end. You can see there, that could be the end of I would start with the shorties. So start with the shorty, get your 1/16 up there, and then I went ahead and made these slotted for you. So take advantage of that, and maybe just shoot a couple of screws, 4 screws to make sure it's good, and then get the end one nailed down first, and then bring the second one in and bonk it, and then maybe do the same thing. Go ahead and do like 4 screws to hold it and make sure you're sexy. Then you're going to be looking for this. You're going to go 09 to 09. I didn't make it to where one overlapped or not because I didn't know, how accurate you guys are going to be. So you're going to have bonk against bonk. But I did make sure that this was back enough. So these don't meet. They don't have to meet. So the idea is to give you flexibility. So maybe nail down the short side 1 and 2, but get it a little bit adjustable. And then start with this guy and get it bonked like that as best you can. And then start laying out these panels. So you can start doing this one. You'll see where it'll say corner. It'll be routed corner. So bring corner to corner, obviously, and then start working your way. And then maybe do 4 screws to hold this one in place. The first one here doesn't have any copy on it. And then you'll bonk Ponzu, get that nailed down, and then bring this in. And theoretically, you should have a 1/16 on this end. and then go ahead and screw it down. Then you can sort of adjust back and forth. Again, I have slideys. We should be good to go. And then adjustability. And then try to hit these targets as best as possible. Once you get this all sexy and you like it and you bring these together, then just nail it down all the way along the top and all the way along the bottom. Frap, 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 self-tappers all day. Again, this is 3/4 of an inch here, so bring self-tappers 1.5 inches or something. Number 10s is great. And then just nail this whole thing down. Same thing here. And then push your leashes through. You're not going to have access once the leashes, once you nail it down, we're done. So make sure you have access to your leashes on the other side. Good to go. And then again, this is what we're looking for in a perfect world. If there's a little bit of gap right there, then maybe you can, choose your own adventure if you want. Maybe caulk it up a little bit. And then since it's faux finish, it might be easy to sort of smush some paint on there. Or the faux finish might be sexy enough where you don't really see it. Maybe just take a little bit of touch-up paint. Either way, so it's kind of up to you guys how to kind of make that that corner disappear. So right there. So, but it shouldn't be too bad. But again, I think the worst part for you guys will just be having to rip all this wood off. Good luck. Like I said, I know there's screws from the backside, like wood screws. So you're gonna have to kind of deal with that, clean those up, try to make sure there's nothing sticking out. Because just like I told Fab, we want to make sure that this sits flush. So all these panels kind of have to sit flush. So make sure everything's really sexy and there's not a lot of stuff sticking out. But really all you have to worry about is like this top 1.5 inches and this bottom 1.5 inches. We don't want to compromise the structure too badly, but theoretically, you can cut some big holes if you need. Just, like I say, don't compromise the structure too bad, but don't worry about, because everything is going to be covered up. So really you only need like this much to nail down and about this much to screw into here. Otherwise you can sort of cut whatever you need to get through. Same thing on this side. So anyway, what I'm trying to do, we all know how horribly heavy and awkward this is. So I made it to where we don't want to take them off if we don't have to. So hopefully you guys don't have to. You can just rip these off and try to demo from the face out. So that was the whole idea. So hopefully this works for you guys to just work from the front. So anyway, so short, long, I think you guys have the idea. So from there, I think we got it. So yep. So if you have any questions, hit me up. Check the